Tell us about online video in this auction scenario,
Sure.
how it works,
Right.
just kind of, not to get too deep in the weeds, but tell us what that ecosystem is and the value you provide.
Okay. So it's very similar to any other auction you might see. It's very similar to display auctions that you're seeing today. So you have the ability to do all kinds of targeting, whether it's geographic or demographic or behavioral targeting. Publishers get very similar tools, so it's very largely similar. I think the big difference between the auctions in display and video is probably the supply-demand dynamics. So in the professionally produced content arena in video, what you have today is very much more similar to actually like search. And what I mean by that is that demand for that content and that ad space is very, very high. So an exchange provides a great deal of value in terms of finding the right price discovery, the right yield for the publishers. I know a lot of premium publishers, even the highest and highest of premium publishers, are starting to explore exchanges as a way to get the greatest yield out of their inventory, because they know there's lots of people willing to buy this inventory, and if they can get an auction or a market dynamic around that, they think they can get the highest yield.
So right now the content is, what kind of content and ads? You link up a publisher and ads, so how does that work? And the ads come from the agency or through an ad network, or?
Sure. Well, it's an exchange, so anybody's allowed to buy. I guess I'll answer the buy side question first. So anybody's allowed to buy. You do get it from agencies, from clients direct, and from networks. Everyone's allowed. And then finally the DSPs, the demand side platforms, are all starting to buy on the exchange. So you've got a series of demand side buyers. On the supply side, I'd break it up into three groups. I'd say there's the user-generated content, of which we have almost none, but it's the predominant share. Then there's the super premium, like the network TV shows that are shown on TV. And then there's the whole middle section of what I'd say professionally produced short-form content. And I'd say that we probably are predominantly in that middle section. We have a little bit of premium, a tiny bit, under 5% of UGC, but the bulk of what we're doing is that torso, that professionally produced short-form content. For example, local news and segments, things like that.
So how big is it? How big is is your footprint now?
Sure.
And in terms of the size and perhaps in relation to the overall pie?
Sure. So the video exchange business is really, really small, and I think even YouTube hasn't really gotten it out fully yet. And they're probably the center of gravity there, and they're largely UGC, but they're starting to provide some professional content as well. On our side, we're doing about 1.5 billion to 2 billion streams available each month, which to us in the mid-torso seems like it's a large chunk. Exactly what percentage I'd be remiss in saying.
Tell us about your business, how that works.
Mm-hmm. So we sit in between. We provide tools for the publishers to be able to maximize yield, to do a variety of things. And we're working on further refinements to increase yield in a more algorithmic way. On the buy side, we provide also the same tools we do on the display side, which is a variety of targeting tools, geographic tools, demographic tools, behavioral tools. So you can say, I want this segment. I want soccer moms from the tri-state area, and those are the people I want to reach. And then we can also combine it across platforms. Since we're very active and large in display, doing hundreds and hundreds of millions every day in display, we can combine the two. So if you're an advertiser and you're interested in doing a cross-media buy, where you're buying in video, you're buying in display, you're buying in text, we can be a one-stop shop and give you access to all those different elements.
Where do things stand? Is the system pretty together, or are there things that need to be developed by the industry? Where do things stand?
Well, I think people want more visibility. I think that's really what it boils down to, and we provide that. I think the really strong pubs are seeing that providing visibility actually gives you greater yield, because if you're visible, if you're transparent in the video world specifically, you get a tremendous amount of yield for what you're doing. On the mid-tail section, I think people are looking for audiences as long as it meets a certain brand safe criteria. So we do a very extensive review on our own end on the publisher side, and there's some third-party tools that are available to do some content and brand safety filtering.
So what's next for you guys, and where are things going over the next year, let's say?
Yeah, I'd say over the next 2 to 4 quarters, we're going to be bringing a couple of things to the table. One is the ability to add connected devices. So, hopefully within 4 quarters from now, we'll have the full suite then. You'll have text, display, video, and now connected devices, mobile being one of them, but IPTV and what have you. And then the second piece we're working on is much more automated publisher tools. So the publishers today, I think, specifically have not had as much support and third-party resources available to them as the advertiser side had. It's as simple as there's a whole industry called agencies, ad agencies, that help advertisers with their media dollars. And there really isn't that corresponding analog on the publisher side to help them optimize. There's been things like networks, whether it was TV or print ad networks, that created economies of scale, which was great, but there's a lot more to bring to bear on the technology side to be able to get the best yield for these publishers and do it in a way that makes it super simple for them and super effective. And we're working feverishly on that, and we should have that out in the next couple of quarters.